The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jenny Bragel from TechServe Alliance. Welcome to today's webinar, 10 Tips to Pass the Level 2 Certification Exam. There will be a question and answer session after the presentation, so feel free to write in any questions you would like to have answered in the question box on the right side of your screen. Also, we are recording today's presentation, and it will be available to TechServe members on the e-learning center of the website. Now, I'd like to introduce our speaker for the day, Barb Bruno, President of Good as Gold Training. Barb?
Thank you, and I'm really pleased to be here, and I'm so glad that all of you got on this call because that shows me that you have an interest in taking the Level 2 certification exam. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is how are you going to benefit? Because obviously this takes some extra studying, it takes some effort on your part to take the Level 2 certification exam. So I want to make sure that all of you are clear on how actually doing this is going to benefit you. So let's start out by congratulating you because you've attained your TSA Level 1, either CPSR for recruiters or CPSAE certification for account executives. And these are a unique mark of distinction in our industry. And it's interesting because, you know, those of you that have the certification and are really promoting it, it is a differentiator between you and your competition. And when we developed this program, we had several ideas in mind. And it was really created to accomplish the following. We wanted it to be a differentiator in the marketplace to drive growth and profitability of your firm. We wanted to elevate your effectiveness as either a recruiter or an account executive or in management because this exam is open to obviously everybody in the firm from the owner through, you know, all the employees. We wanted to mitigate risk through enhanced knowledge of employment laws, and we wanted to recognize exemplary professionals and then demonstrate a commitment to continuing education. When you think about the people that you're placing in jobs, certifications and, you know, are probably more important in the IT and engineering niche than they are in just about any other niche out there. So it's good that you earned this certification to then again differentiate yourself. The Level 1 certification exam, as you all know, required you to master the following. You had to study the industry best practices and the common terms and definitions, and then systems and processes. We covered understanding the IT and engineering niche, best use of your time, of course, the federal laws governing employment practices, and then best practices for recruiters and account executives. The 20 lessons in the study guide were separated for recruiters as well as account executive. Certification also guaranteed your adherence to the TechServe Alliance Code of Ethics, and I'm hoping that this is something that you're letting people know that you know, as someone who is certified, you know, with your CPSR or CPSAE, that you're also adhering to the TechServe Alliance Code of Ethics, and it's good for you to share that Code of Ethics with your clients and with your candidates because it shows the type of person you are and it shows the stringent Code of Ethics that you adhere to. Now, certification is available at 2 distinct levels of achievement. And by the way, this is the only certification program for our profession that has levels. This is the only program that actually, you know, has you studying best practices and also that has a Level 2. So we've obviously got Level 1 and Level 2. The Level 2 certification requires the following. You have to complete the Level 1 CPSR or CPSAE exam. You have to have at least 2 years of experience. And you have to have advanced mastery based on case studies with more complex scenarios. And so, you know, it was interesting when I was asked to actually write the Level 2 exam and do case studies for the profession. It took me quite a while to really, you know, get my head around how can we do this and really test your knowledge. And what we're doing is testing the application of what you learned in Lesson 1. So Lesson 2 is not a new body of study materials. You're going to study the exact same materials you studied for Level 1. So you don't have to get a whole new set of study materials. You know, both exams were written off the same study materials. But, you know, Level 2 is really testing your application of what you learned. Because in Lesson 1, it was multiple choice, it was true and false, and basically, you know, you just had to learn the material. What Level 2 is, it's testing, do you really understand what you learned? And so it takes you to a whole new level of knowledge, and it'll be a whole new level of application of what you've learned on your day-to-day work as you're working your desk and working with your clients and candidates. Now, you're no different than anybody else, and if I'm going to be asked to take a level 2 exam, I want to know what's in it for me. So what are the benefits of taking the level 2 certification exam? And I think there's several benefits. Number one, it's the personal growth. This competitive market, and we all know it's a candidate-driven market, this market demands a commitment to a lifetime of learning. And level 2 is for those individuals who have a strong desire to add to your base of knowledge. It challenges your ability to apply what you've learned to actually solve specific case studies involving complex scenarios that occur to both recruiters and account executives. When you're going through the level 2 exam, you're going to say, oh yeah, I've seen this before. So we basically took real life scenarios and put them as your case studies, and then of course you're going to apply the various best practices or laws or industry practices that basically cover each case study. This knowledge will help you better serve your clients and your candidates. Next, it's the recognition and credibility. There are countless ways that you can accomplish a higher level of success and gain respect and recognition that you deserve and you've earned. The Level 2 certification exam says something about who you are and the dedication that you have to your profession. And obviously, we're just rolling out this Level 2 exam, so you will also be one of the first in your profession to gain the Level 2 certification. There is a financial reward. And you have to understand, when I was asked to get involved with this, what I said to TSA and the individuals that were involved in basically creating this program was I only cared about one thing if I was going to be involved in this, was that if you took the Level 1 and the Level 2 certification exams, you were making more money because you now have knowledge and you now have skill sets that you didn't have before you took the exam. And the Level 2 certification exam really does test your ability to solve complex scenarios that will make you a better recruiter or a better account executive. When you become more effective and capable in your profession, it has a positive impact on your income. It just has a positive income because you're becoming more effective. The sense of accomplishment, the feeling of personal satisfaction you will get from attaining your Level 2 certification is priceless, because the effort you put forth to complete your studies and pass the exam will stand as a central character-building life experience. It's not easy, and what you have to understand is the answers for the Level 2 exam are not, like, you can't go look up an answer. Where the Level 1, you could almost go back to, okay, the study guide said this, I know that this is the answer. The Level 2 exam is really taking what you've learned, like you have to go back and read the study materials over again, read the laws over again, and make sure you understand, okay, if this happens on my desk, what law would I apply? If this happens at my desk, what best practice would I apply to this case study? And that will help you answer the multiple choice questions. The next benefit is advancement. Earning your Level 2 certification designation is really evidence of your persistence, your determination, your intellectual prowess, and the ability to handle complex scenarios, all of which are very desirable qualities of staffing and recruiting firm owners and managers. So what you're saying to your owner and manager, if you're not an owner or manager taking this, you're really showing your level of dedication that you want to become the best that you can become as you're working for them. So it shows them, again, that persistence and determination, where you really want to be able to handle any complex scenario that hits your desk. And you and I both know that scenarios are getting more complex due to technology and the impact that that has had, on our professional. Also, a personal brand and differentiator. This is a true differentiator from your competition. When bids are similar, your certification credentials can help you win bids, and it has already done this for some people that have gotten their certification, and you will represent the best clients and candidates because it's something you should be marketing to them. This accomplishment should be prevalent on your online presence, your Facebook page, your LinkedIn profile. And if you look at your LinkedIn profile, and by the way, we're going to keep, upgrading and updating, the content of the certification program every year. And we are going to be adding some content at this year's TechServe Alliance conference. So is it worth it for you to do this now before we add new materials? The answer is yes, because you can go from the same base of knowledge you had from the Level 1. So that's why timing is so important. If you're going to do this, I would strongly recommend that you do this, before the conference. But back to your online presence, your online presence, people do check you out online, whether it's a candidate or a client, to see if they want to do business with you. And, the fact that you've now attained your level 1 certification and you'll be one of the first to attain level 2, that should really be prevalent, because your LinkedIn profile should not be your resume. A LinkedIn profile is a mini sales letter. It's showing me, if I'm a candidate or a client, why I should want to use you. And so make sure that, you've listed this and it's very prevalent on your LinkedIn profile or wherever, whatever chat room you're in, whatever blog you write in. Make sure that they understand that you've earned your certifications. The study guides for level 1 and level 2 are identical. Level 2 will provide you with specific case studies where you apply your knowledge from the level 1 study materials. And the answers to the questions will not be included in the questions or the answers. So you're going to read the case study, you're going to determine which law or best practice to apply, and then you're going to answer the questions. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you an actual sampling of a case study. And I'm giving you one of the easier case studies, but I think it's good for you to see a sampling of what you're going to be facing so you can grasp what this is exactly. So this is the type of scenario it would be, and I'm going to go through the case study. John had 10 years of experience and had experienced a high level of success throughout his career. His sales started to become inconsistent, and he wondered why his manager was not doing more to motivate him. He felt that management took him for granted because he has always generated profits for his firm. When he was making sales calls, he kept running into account executives from his competition and realized his established clients were using their services as well. When his clients did not hire the talent presented by his firm, he found himself becoming extremely stressed and wondered if he was experiencing burnout. He often felt his clients were not realistic about the lack of top talent and was frustrated by their unwillingness to alter specs and hire faster. He realized he needed to make changes if he wanted different results, but he wasn't sure what he should address first. He read negative news, hung around the people who were basically adding noise to his life, and felt his career was going into reverse. It has been years since he set specific goals and wondered if setting specific goals would help him focus more effectively. He committed to an attitude adjustment and to determine what he really wanted to achieve for himself as well as the people he loved. Rather than blame his manager for his lack of motivation, John needed to reflect on what he could control, which includes which of the following. Okay? And these are the answers. A, how he chooses to react to daily issues. B, his attitude. C, the level of success he attains. Or D, all of the above. And so as you can see, when you read that case study, it doesn't talk about he needs to improve his attitude. He needs to commit to a level of success. He needs to choose how he reacts to daily issues. Obviously, the answer for this one is D, all of the above. But as you can see, the answer to this case study doesn't talk about attitude or, that you can choose how you react to things. That's included in the study guide materials. So when I said the answer is not in the case study itself, your knowledge of reading the case studies and learning the materials would help you come up, to the answer that is the all of the above. So what I would like to say to all of you today is that your knowledge of level 1 study materials is still fresh, and there is no better time to sign up for level 2 than today. The other benefits are the passing score is still 70%. The passing score for both level exams, level 1 and level 2, is going to be raised to 80% as of the TSA conference, in the fall of 2015. So if you take the exam now, because the first year after you roll out a program, you want to have, X amount of people pass the exam to make sure the questions are clear, that the materials are viable, and you want to, set that bar a little bit lower for the first year. And so all of you have the benefit of that passing score of 70% on your level 1 exam. And if you take the level 2 exam before the conference, that passing score is still at 70 up to the conference. No changes are going to be made for 12 months. So those of you that took the exam, we are changing. We're adding some materials to the certification program, both level 1 and level 2, but those changes will not be made until conference, because we feel the need, every 12 months we're going to look at this exam and look at what's going on in the marketplace and make sure that we're updating the materials in the exam. So if you don't take the Level 2 exam before we update the materials, you will have to read the updated materials to take your Level 2 exam. So again, right now, the study materials from your Level 1 exam can be utilized for taking the Level 2 exam. Now, I've tried to give you sort of an overview today. If you want information on the availability and the cost, please contact Susan Donahoe, and I've got her number on the screen. If you could write that number down, because Susan can, show you. Basically, this exam is taken online. You do not have to go to conference to take the exam. We will be offering a prep class for the Level 2 exam that Susan can give you information on. And you do have the phone number where you can contact Susan. But you've got the entire summer, and I know that many of you are thinking this is not the time of year that I want to take the exam. But, it's a matter of dedication and determination. And is there a better time than right now to take the exam? The truth of the matter is no. And the reason is, for all the reasons we've given you today, your knowledge is still fresh. You know those study materials. You're not going to have to learn them from scratch. You're going to have to go back and review them. But the reason I wanted to give you a sample is, again, the answer is not within the case study. In fact, I actually, when I was writing these case studies, realized what I did is I thought of the questions I was going to ask first, and then backed it into a scenario. Like I would look at an industry practice, or I would look at one of the chapters in your study guide, one of the 20 lessons in the study guide, and I would think, you know what, I want to do a case study around this lesson. So what questions would I ask? And I would come up with the questions first, and then I would think, okay, what real-life scenario happens on our desks every day, happens when you're out there working? What real-life scenario can I give you that will make sense to you, that comes straight out of the study materials? So we're not going to give you any case study that was not, that where you couldn't solve it based on what's in the Level 1 study materials. So this is a very fair exam. It will test your knowledge more. You cannot just sign up and take the Level 2 exam without reviewing your study guide from Level 1. It was no different than people that were attending the prep class and they didn't read the study guides, and they went to take the test right after the prep class. For those of you that were in my prep class, you remember I said, if you haven't read the study materials, please go back and read them first and then take your exam, because the only people that have not passed were people that did really not, they just didn't study the study materials. They didn't make the commitment to really, read them, go back, take notes, understand them, and then take your exam. And of course, the prep class helps as well. But you need to go back and review all your study materials before you take Level 2, but it's not going to take you near as long to study this time because you've got the base of knowledge, and because you've already gone through that certification program. So these case studies are based on some of the things you already know. You just need to review it. So what I want to do now is I want to open the lines for any questions. What you can do is you can go to the control panel on the right-hand side, and you see the word question. And what I want you to do is click on that plus sign next to the word question. And if you click on that plus sign, it'll open a dialog box. I will use your name. I will use your name if in fact you don't put anonymous or confidential before you ask me your question. I'll just use your first name. If you don't want me to use your first name when you're asking questions, then just put confidential again, and I will not use your name. So the first question comes from Douglas. I'd love to hear examples of exactly how people are using their certification as a market differentiator. And Douglas, I can tell you that, we can give you some examples, because obviously just announcing it to your clients, when they're asking what separates you from your competition, you can let them know that, that you've actually attained your certification. And not only does that enhance your knowledge where you can serve them better, you also have a much better knowledge of the law and you can protect them. And so I think that it really is, it really is important for you to be able to go out there. Now, there is going to be a LinkedIn group for certification, and it's just about ready to be launched, where all of you will be able to share what you're doing, share ideas. We're going to start a certification community, and we'd love to have you all involved. And so there is going to be a newsletter that goes out strictly to people that are certified, and that's starting now. And there's also a LinkedIn group. So, if you're not sure basically how to use it, after you were certified, you did get some information from TechServe with some very specific ideas and news releases and ways that you could market yourself. But again, real life scenarios, you're going to see a lot of those when the LinkedIn group is up and through the certification newsletter that's going to be going out, because we do want to share ideas, because obviously if somebody else came up with a great idea, a great way to differentiate themselves, we want to make sure that other people can use those ideas. Let's see, as far as cost and timing, I would definitely reach out to Susan on what it costs to take the level 2 certification and how much time it takes and that type of thing. Any of those technical and price questions and that, I would revert back to Susan. Let's see, please talk more about the prep class. How will it be presented and when is it, and the cost? Part of the conference to take advantage of the 70%. I've already written the prep class for the level 2 exam, and I'm not sure exactly how we're going to deliver it. That would also be a Susan question, but I try to give you a sampling of, what the case study looks like, and so are we going to do a prep class? I would think that because we want to do this prior to the conference, that we're going to do it in a webinar format, and I will get together with Susan so that we can schedule this, because obviously at conference we do the face-to-face. I have been doing some prep classes for specific companies that have a large number of people that are being certified, or if you have a TechServe Alliance chapter and they're willing, to bring me out, I have been doing the level 1 prep class, and I also can do the level 2 prep class if in fact, you have a large number of people that want to sit for the program. Let's see, what is the medium of the exam online? Open part. It's going to be, the exam online is going to be identical to the level 1 exam. So you're going to log in, to the learning management, the LMS that contains the certification program, and then you're going to answer the questions. It will be multiple choice, just like I showed you the sampling. So you're going to log on. You'll have a username and a password. Once you sign up for the level 2 exam, there is a time frame. It's a pretty long time frame where you want to take this, but of course you want to take it before conference if you want the 70% as well as no additional study materials. That's why we wanted to do this webinar, to make sure that all of you are aware of, our plans to, add to the exam as well as increase the test score. But you just log in, you use the username and password, you log into the site, you will read the case studies, and then you will answer the multiple choice question on what is the answer based on the case study. So again, the answer is not in the case study. You're going to read the case study, then you're going to think about what you learned in the study materials. In the case of legal case studies, actually the attorney, Craig Etter and Mark wrote the legal case studies. And so in the case of the legal case studies, those are a little tougher, because when they give you a scenario that you may face, it's going to be a legal scenario, you've got to understand, okay, which law do I apply here? Is it Title VII? Is it, is it a different law? You're going to have to figure out, okay, which law do I apply here? And then based on what I know about that law, this would be my answer. Now, if you apply the wrong law, you could get the wrong answer. But, both Craig Etter and myself and Mark, as we were developing these case studies and questions, we're making this very, very fair. Again, it's going to be a very fair exam. And I believe there's 100 questions. Again, I believe there are 100 questions in level 1. I believe there's 100 questions in level 2, and so some of the case studies will have more than one question after them. Some will have just 1 or 2 questions. So it'll vary based on what case studies you get, because we've got a pool of case studies we're going to pull from. We don't want everybody taking the same exam. Just like on the level 1 exam, we're going to keep changing up some of the questions so that people aren't necessarily getting the same case studies or same questions. But we're going to cover the exact same number of laws as well as best practices. So the scenarios will vary depending on which ones we choose to have the same amount of questions for everybody taking the exam. And again, a lot of those details, TechServe has the details on their site about the level 2 exam and what it all involves and how to sign up. But if you're unsure and if you've gone on the site and you're not sure, reach out to Susan, and I'm sure that she'll have no problem. But many of the answers to these questions and additional FAQs and that, should be on the TechServe Alliance, website under the certification program, because I know they did put the level 2 information up there. Any tips you could give us on passing the exam? I think the best way to pass the exam is to take it as soon as you can after level 1, to definitely go back over all the level 1 study materials, go over all your notes, and as you're reading the materials, read them a little bit differently. You were reading them to learn the materials the last time. You weren't really reading them to understand how you would necessarily apply what you were learning, especially in the areas of the legal questions, because you have to know which law to apply. Is it the Pregnancy Act? Is it, family medical leave? Is it Title VII? You apply the wrong law, you're going to get the questions wrong. So now you're reading the study materials a little deeper. You're thinking, okay, what scenarios would I apply what laws to? What scenarios would I apply what best practices to? So you're studying, you're studying deeper, you're studying broader when you're studying to take the case studies. But as I showed you, again, the answers of the case studies are not meant to trip you up. We wrote the questions first based on, like we would open a lesson or we would open a law, and we would think about what questions we want to ask based on those study materials. Now, what scenario, what case study can we give you? How do we back into that where you would logically pick the right best practice or the right law? So we were trying to do this in the fairest way possible. The other thing I would say to all of you is, when you're reading, your case study, don't second guess your answers. When you're going down there and and you're reading the case study and you see the question, especially if it's asking you one question and giving you 3 or 4 answers, when it's asking the question, try to come up with the answer in your head before you look at the multiple choice answers or you look at true and false. When you read the case study, you read the question, don't look at any of the answers and figure out what your logical answer would be. And then when you look at the answers, find the answer that is closest to what you thought your answer was. Because often if you read a question or you read a case study and then you look at the answers, now you're second guessing yourself. Well, it could be that or this one, where if you had just read the question and come up with the answer in your head and then looked for your answer, it's probably there. So that's just a test, a test tip on how to take a multiple choice test more effectively. Never look at the answers. Look at the question and look at the answers after you think you've got the answer in your head. And then if you don't, say your answer is not there, you're going to look at the answers and find the answer that's the closest to the answer you have. Or in the case of law, you might come up with an answer and the answer is not there at all. And now you realize you're applying the wrong law. That's why your answer is not there. So now you've got to figure out in your head, okay, wait a minute. I put Title VII. That wasn't Title VII at all. This is FMLA. So how would I apply FMLA in this scenario? So, again, reading the question and not looking at the answers and just, thinking of your answer first is the best way. The other thing I would say to all of you is never change an answer. Almost always, because we've reviewed all the exams. Those of us that are involved in the development of this, we've watched every person that's taken this test. We know how long it's taking the average person. There's no question that's tripping everybody up, so we know the questions are fair. We also know that 99% of the people that changed an answer change it to a wrong answer. So once you write down an answer, don't change it, because everybody that changed their answers, just about everybody got it wrong. So whatever you go with first, those would be my 2 tips. Don't look at the answers and don't change answers, because you'll have a much better chance of passing. Let's see. I see no more questions here. Again, any additional questions that you have, you can reach out to Susan. You've got her number on your screen right now. Please reach out to her. We really want to encourage you to take Lesson 2. Those of you that take the Level 2 exam, I would love to offer to give you a personal recommendation on your LinkedIn profile once you pass the Level 2 exam. And so I'm going to offer that to all of you. I will write a recommendation for you when you pass the Level 2 exam if you do it before conference. So that would just be kind of an added bonus of something I will do for you, because this really does even separate you from the people that have only taken Level 1. And it'll let everybody out there know that there is a Level 2. So that's another benefit. If you pass this before conference, I will give you a recommendation. And again, I'm willing to talk to anybody. You can talk to Susan about the mechanics, but if you've got questions, about the study materials or, anything along those lines, if you just, reach out to my office, I'm more than willing to talk to any of the, owners that are basically sending their people to take this, because I want to make sure that you're excited about it and you really understand the benefits, because this is something that I would love to see all of you hang up this phone and make a commitment today to do. Because if you don't make the commitment today, like anything else, it'll get put on a back burner and it won't get done. And so what I would do is I would put this on my Outlook calendar for tomorrow to discuss this with my owner or my manager, or if I am an owner and a manager, I'm going to put it on my calendar that tomorrow I'm going to reach out to TechServe and I'm going to register. Because registering is the first step. You've got to register for Level 2, get that under your belt, and then just review the materials and sit for the exam. Let me see if there's any other questions. I'll give you a couple more minutes if anybody wants to type in another question. I'm getting a lot of thank yous, but that's about it. Well, I'm glad that you listened to this program. I hope that this has motivated you to sign up for Level 2. And again, we're here to back you. This is a wonderful accomplishment, and good luck to all of you. And again, I strongly recommend that you do this as soon as possible because it's in your best interest to do that. That's all I have, Jenny. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
All right. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of TechServe Alliance and everyone attending, and thank you for that amazing offer you just made, Barb.
Not a problem. I'd love to do that for people because this is a big accomplishment, and I have no problem, writing a personal recommendation on your LinkedIn profile for anybody that passes Level 2 again before conference. Okay, so I hope to see you all sign up.
All right. And everyone, we will be sending out an email with today's slides and a link to today's presentation, and I will include Susan's information in the email as well for you, so you can reach out to her with any questions about registering for the exam or about the exam. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a nice day.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.